Welcome to the Shadow's Grip, Tales from the Haunted Wilderness, a series of bone-chilling stories that will plunge you into the heart of the unknown, where the line between reality and nightmare blurs, and the wilderness itself becomes a malevolent force. In these dark and gripping tales, you will journey deep into the wild, untamed landscapes of various locations, where hikers, explorers, and adventurers find themselves facing unimaginable horrors. Each story will transport you to a different setting, from remote forests to desolate mountains, where the secrets of the natural world and the supernatural collide. Prepare to be entranced by the eerie sounds of rustling leaves, haunting whistles, and footsteps in the night. As you delve into the depths of the Shadow's Grip, you will encounter enigmatic creatures, unearthly apparitions, and unexplainable phenomena that will leave you questioning the very fabric of reality. These stories are not for the faint of heart, as they explore the darkest corners of the human psyche and the mysteries that lurk in the wilderness. Join us on this harrowing journey, if you dare, and brace yourself for a series of spine-tingling adventures that will keep you on the edge of your seat, long after the last word has been read. Red-Eyed Pursuit, a Washington State Nightmare. As the moon hung low in the sky, casting eerie shadows through the dense Washington State forest, John, a seasoned hiker, found himself in a nightmarish predicament. He had ventured too far from the trail, and the once familiar woods had become an impenetrable maze of towering pines and tangled undergrowth. Panic gnawed at his chest as he trudged through the dark, his flashlight the only beacon in the black abyss. John's breath came out in ragged puffs of cold air, the sound of his boots crunching leaves and snapping twigs, the only disruption in the otherwise eerie silence. The dense canopy above blocked out most of the stars, and the forest seemed to press in on him, closing off any escape. Then, he heard it. A faint rustling behind him, a sound barely perceptible over the cacophony of his own heartbeat. He spun around, flashlight trembling in his trembling hand, but saw nothing more than the indistinct shadows of the trees. His heart pounded louder as he quickened his pace. With every step, the strange sounds persisted, the rustling growing steadily louder, more ominous. Then came the whistling, a haunting tune that sent shivers down John's spine. It was a sound that didn't belong in the wilderness, and it clawed at his nerves. As he hurried along the uneven forest floor, John was now certain that something was following him, just beyond the periphery of his vision. His flashlight beam darted wildly, revealing fleeting glimpses of gnarled branches and twisted roots, but nothing more. The footsteps drew nearer, an unsettling rhythm that matched his every step. Panic surged, and John broke into a jog, his labored breathing echoing through the trees. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being hunted. Suddenly, the night was filled with a cacophony of tree knocks and the sickening thud of rocks striking the ground. They came from all around, as if the forest itself had conspired against him. He swerved and dodged, desperate to avoid whatever sinister force lurked in the shadows. But it was too late. The footsteps were now a relentless pursuit, drawing closer with each passing second. John could hear heavy, raspy breathing, almost like a beast in heat. His heart pounded in his ears, drowning out everything else. Fear overcame reason, and John broke into a sprint, his path illuminated by the frantic sweep of his flashlight. He could hear the unseen presence gaining on him, the footsteps now a thunderous drumbeat echoing through the trees. He pushed himself harder, his muscles screaming in protest. Then it happened. An unseen root snagged his foot, and John was sent sprawling to the ground. He tumbled, the forest floor unforgiving, until he landed on his back, gasping for breath. In that moment of terror, he dared to look up. What he saw defied all reason. Two blazing red eyes glared down at him from the darkness, burning with a malevolence that sent a chill through his very soul. Above those eyes, a towering, hairy form loomed, its musky scent overpowering. John could only watch in abject horror as the creature's massive hand reached out toward him, its fingers ending in long, gnarled claws. He had no time to scream before those claws closed around his throat, squeezing the life from him. The forest swallowed his cries, and the world faded into darkness, leaving behind only the sinister whispers of the woods and the chilling memory of those red eyes, a malevolent presence that would haunt the Washington State forest forever. Part 2. The Descent into Terror. John's heart pounded like a drum in his chest as he staggered to his feet, his vision blurred with fear and pain. The creature, with its fiery red eyes and grotesque form, still loomed above him, its malevolent presence casting a nightmarish shadow. Blood trickled from his forehead, a painful reminder of his fall. Without a moment's hesitation, John pushed himself to his limits and bolted down the mountain trail. His body protested with every step, but the instinct to survive overpowered the searing pain in his limbs. The woods seemed to close in around him, the towering trees and gnarled roots becoming a maze of torment. The creature gave chase, its heavy footfalls shaking the earth beneath him, closing the distance with each passing second. John's lungs burned as he gasped for breath, his heart racing as he raced down the winding trail. The night air was frigid, and his ragged breaths billowed out like spectral apparitions. The full moon above provided scant illumination, casting eerie shadows that danced along the path. He could hear the beast gaining on him, its guttural growls and malicious whispers echoing in the night. The forest itself seemed to conspire against him, throwing obstacles in his path. Sticks and rocks became treacherous traps, causing him to stumble and curse. As he hurtled down the mountain, John's thoughts raced as wildly as his feet. What was this creature? How had he stumbled upon it in the depths of the wilderness? The questions only fueled his fear, pushing him to run faster and harder. Suddenly, the trail grew steeper, the terrain descending into a labyrinth of sharp rocks and treacherous cliffs. John's legs burned with exertion as he navigated the hazardous terrain. He could feel the creature's hot breath on his neck, its presence an ever-present nightmare. In the distance, the haunting whistling sound persisted, an eerie serenade to his terror. It echoed through the trees, warping and twisting with an otherworldly quality. John's heart ached with dread as he forced himself to continue his perilous descent. With each passing moment, the forest seemed to take on a malevolent life of its own. Twisted branches reached out like skeletal hands, grasping at his clothing, trying to pull him into the darkness. Vines and roots snaked across his path, threatening to trip him and send him tumbling into the abyss below. Desperation coursed through John's veins as he pushed on, his limbs aching and trembling. The relentless pursuit of the creature behind him spurred him forward, even as his body screamed for rest. He couldn't afford to stop, couldn't afford to be caught. Then, as he reached a particularly treacherous section of the trail, John felt the ground give way beneath him. He plummeted down a steep embankment, tumbling end over end. Pain exploded through his body as he collided with rocks and thorns, his world spinning in a blur of agony and darkness. Miraculously, he came to a stop, battered and bruised, but still alive. His flashlight lay nearby, its beam flickering weakly. In the distance, he could hear the creature's furious growls and the crashing of branches as it descended after him. With every ounce of strength he had left, John forced himself to his feet and limped forward. The trail continued downward, steeper and more treacherous than ever. Blood oozed from cuts and abrasions, staining his clothing and the rocky ground beneath him. As he stumbled through the night, John knew that he was running out of time. The creature's pursuit had become relentless, its hunger for him insatiable. He could hear it drawing nearer, the thunderous footfalls shaking the very ground beneath him. The forest seemed to twist and contort, the trees closing in around him, creating a claustrophobic nightmare. And then, just as he thought all hope was lost, John saw a glimmer of salvation in the distance, a faint glow that cut through the darkness. It was the trailhead, the end of his harrowing descent. With renewed determination, John pushed forward, his battered body screaming in protest. He could hear the creature's enraged howls behind him, but he dared not look back. As he burst from the woods and into the clearing of the trailhead, John's heart leaped with a mixture of relief and terror. The moon bathed the area in its pale light, and he could see the parking lot just ahead. He stumbled toward his car, fumbling for his keys, his breath coming in ragged gasps. With trembling hands, he unlocked the car and threw himself inside, slamming the door shut just as the creature burst from the forest. Its red eyes blazed with fury as it howled in frustration, its monstrous form disappearing back into the woods. John started the engine and peeled out of the parking lot, leaving the nightmare behind him. As he drove away, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had escaped something ancient and malevolent, something that should have remained hidden in the depths of the wilderness. Thank you, our dear audience, for tuning in and joining us on this spine-tingling journey through our thrilling horror stories on YouTube. Your support and engagement have been invaluable to us, and we're grateful for every moment you've spent with us in the realm of suspense, fear, and the unknown. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on our future tales of terror. Your feedback and comments fuel our creativity, and we're excited to keep bringing you more haunting narratives and heart-pounding adventures. Stay curious, stay cautious, and always be prepared for the unexpected. For in the world of horror, the shadows hold secrets that are not easily forgotten. Until next time, may your nights be filled with thrilling chills and unforgettable nightmares. Thank you once again for being a part of our sinister storytelling community.